Looks a little different for an intro, I would say. This is my backyard. This is my deck. It is perfect out. And I decided I don't want to record this intro in my office. I want to be outside and have the sun beam on my face and hear these birds chirping and hope that that doesn't annoy the hell out of you as you listen or watch this podcast. So let me know in the comments if you hope I never do this again. But for today, we'll be here. So I guess I need to do the intro. Welcome back to another Black Window Cream podcast. New episode every single Sunday. I'm your host, Ben Haggerty, aka Ben Real Verse World. And today on the podcast, we have a top tier legend, Jake Chamseddine, aka Jake Chams. Jake is a seasoned touring photographer. He's a director, a cinematographer, an animator. The dude does all kinds of stuff. He has a great YouTube channel too right now. He's been putting out a lot of content on there. He's worked with artists and brands like Adobe, Nike, Panic at the Disco, Green Day, Rae Jepsen, Lorde, the list goes on. He's worked with everybody. And on the podcast, we talk about his come up story. We talk about how he's able to navigate the industry and build relationships with artists and continue to develop relationships that allowed him to thrive and tour full time. And that story alone is inspiring, but I think that the thing that I'm most grateful for is Jake being willing to share the story about how he almost died while he was on tour in 2021. And I know that this is an intense story to talk about. I know reliving it is not easy. And I'm just really thankful that Jake decided that the Black Window Cream podcast is the place that he wanted to share this for other creators to hear this story, not only for safety, but just to let people know what he's been through and to motivate others, because that's what I've learned. That's my biggest takeaway from this episode is motivation. I feel like we're all, we have our own barriers, and barriers get thrown upon us all the time as a creator. And Jake has had one of the biggest barriers ever created around him. One that might be so tall that you might think that you'll never get past that barrier. But in the podcast, throughout the story, just hearing his vibrance, you're gonna understand that Jake is resilient and that no barrier is gonna get in front of this dude. He's gonna continue to crush, which is amazing. I could talk all day about this, but I'm just gonna let the podcast do the talking. Thank you, Jake, for sharing your story with Black Window Cream. I appreciate you being on the show. Everyone make sure to follow him on Instagram and cheer him on his road to victory. He's still fighting and repairing his body, and he's back out on his feet. He's doing what he loves. He's still shooting nonstop. He's working. He's finding a new way to deal with these roadblocks, and it's super inspiring. So thank you, Jake. And hopefully we can have Jake join us on a live stream in the Black Window Cream community. As you know, we've been doing some live streams in the community where we get to kind of do like a book club about this podcast. So when you listen to this episode, the idea is that we'll be able to do a deep dive or a chat about the episode with the group after everyone's heard it, discuss it, talk about our takeaways, our lessons that we've learned, deeper thoughts about it. But it's been cool because the guests have been wanting to join those live streams too. We got Franklin that's down to do one. Rory's done one already. We've done a Mike Carson deep dive. And hopefully we can have Jake join us on the next one. So if you haven't signed up yet, you should do it. It's a really dope community. There's job opportunities in there. We're connecting with friends. We're building relationships, networking, sharing our work, getting feedback, things like that. But we'd love to have you. It's only $1 to join. You just got to use code $1 at checkout, and then you get the first month for $1. Come in and see what it's like. If you missed the Jake deep dive, you'll be able to watch the replay in there. But anyways, I'm gonna sit here and enjoy my coffee while you transfer from this scene to the illest podcast for creatives ever created right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got Jake in the house.
Yo. hit that one more time for me.
Hey, you want one more time? All right, I'll give it to you. Yeah, one more time right there.
Amazing.
We in the club, baby. Actually, we're in the Black Window Cream podcast studio right now in Burbank. You are not here, so
really jerry-rigging it over here.
It's a very funny. There may be hella extra cables. There's also a massive 70-inch screen now on our set, which is really funny.
I can't wait to see what it looks like on your guys' end.
I think you'll like it.
Over here, it looks pretty crazy.
You look great. Yo,
thanks, man.
How you been, bro? How you been doing?
I'm good. I'm hanging in there. It's been quite a trip, quite a couple of few years. I'm stoked to be on here. We wanted to do this, I think, for a minute.
Yeah, I know. I was checking. I think we started talking 2018 or sometime around there. I don't remember how I found you, but I've been paying attention to your work for such a long time, and I know we talked about doing this forever, and I'm glad we're able to do it in the most official way possible. I wish you were here.
Damn.
It would have been
I
cool.
know. I wish I could be there too. Unfortunately, I think this is the second best option, you know what I mean? Being able to do
it literally is. It literally
it's
is
so crazy.
Yo, so your set,
well.
what do you got going on over there at home? Your setup is so
this
twitchy.
Yeah, this is very streamer vibes behind me. I mean, I've during COVID, I was like so bored and out of my mind, so I started streaming a bunch on Twitch. I don't do it as much anymore, but I definitely would like to. But yeah, this is my sanctuary, dude. I got all my like plaques behind me and toys and knickknacks and all the camera stuff I need for whatever I want to do. So yeah, it's my domain.
What's the plaques for?
Panic gave me a Death of a Bachelor plaque, and then Pray for the Wicked as well. And then Marshmello gave me the Happier plaque.
He's for people who are watching. You got a nice soft out of focus background. So plaques for my mom. That's what you get when albums sell a shit ton. So
yeah, when albums do good.
When albums do good, you get plaques. Oh, there we go. He's getting it. Yeah, you can see him. You can see him. There you go. Dude, I feel like the career journey. Obviously, for people who don't know, you've had a crazy incident that happened while you were on the road, and it was life-changing for you, and we're definitely going to get into it. And before that, I mean, you've had like such a long journey in this game. I was able to dive in and like catch up on a couple different, articles about you and everything. And I feel like it'd be cool to, obviously, the point of Black Window Cream, I like sharing creator stories and like hearing the come up, the whole process, like really learning how you got to where you are today. And I think your comeback story is crazy too. Like just seeing, the constant progression you've been making since you got injured and what you've been able to pull off still. And I know you're not done with it all yet, but you're well on the journey, and I'm happy for you, and I'm glad for you, and I'm glad like things are working in your favor at this point.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that a lot. Dude. It means a lot.
But like with what I always, it's funny because I think for such a long time I just thought you did photography. Like and I didn't realize that you did dual wield. You know what I mean? You were always doing a mixture of both.
Yeah, for sure.
When you were getting like, I'm kind of curious at the early ages, because like you're from Oregon, right? And you still live there, no?
Yep, born and raised Portland, still here. Yeah.
Are you in the city?
No, I live like 20 minutes south in Wilsonville. So like a little outside.
Is that like when I've been to Portland a few times, is it like if you don't live in the city, you're most likely in like the gorgeous part where it's like all woods and dope shit?
Yeah, I got like a nice little neighborhood out here, very like cozy home vibes. Definitely nature oriented. But I mean, I think growing up in the Pacific Northwest was like a huge reason for me to get into photography. Growing up with such like beautiful surroundings, and like I snowboarded and skateboarded. So like all those things combined, kind of like I gradually wanted to like document it all. So like so when I was really, really young, like I would say like 10 to 12 years old, I was like stealing my mom's camcorder. I was filming me and my friends skating and snowboarding and kind of just like making these dumb little edits to put like burn to a DVD and like give them at the end of the day. So definitely growing up here pushed me to want to like document what was around me. I mean, I grew up in Portland. I was always at the beach, always on the mountain, really cool landscapes. And I don't even think growing up I knew how cool it was to be around nature like that. It was just like second, like it just was normal to me. Yeah. So, and I think I'm very lucky now looking back to have that, because it definitely perpetuated my career into what I wanted to do today.
Well, and it's such a gorgeous space, but also I think like you could kind of find beauty in anywhere you're raised, right? And it's hard to realize that sometimes when you're just so naturally used to it. Like it's cool when you move to LA and you're like close to the ocean, and then eventually the oce's like it's not that cool to you anymore.
You don't even go there anymore.
Yeah, but people are traveling from all over the country just to see that shit or be by it all the time, which is funny.
Totally.
What's your like go-to ski resort out there? Like what's the home spot?
I grew up skiing on meadows. So it's funny, I actually grew up like really going to Mountain Meadows a lot. I ended up competing like slopestyle half pipe in high school. Nothing too serious, but like it was for fun. Then
snowboarding?
When I snowboarding. Yeah. And then when I graduated, I started coaching snowboarding and coaching competitive snowboarding, and really got into it then. That was definitely my first like true love, was like growing up and seeing like all the nature and outdoors and stuff like that. But yeah, dude, you definitely start taking it for granted when like when you're there. And then it's cool because I always tell people I'm on the road so often that when I come home, it felt like a vacation all the time. True. So it was like home was like a vacation, and then like when I was away was like normal. So that was cool.
So sick.
Yeah.
I feel like we kind of have a very similar, like we have a similar path, just like even the youth side of it, because it was the same thing for me, and being able to grab that camera and go and capture like all day long at the skate park, just trying to get one homie land a trick. And I don't know if you necessarily, for you, tell me, I don't think I ever necessarily knew it was me like caring that I had the camera and that I was trying to capture something. It was just like we needed it. We needed to do it. And by nature, I was just constantly capturing whatever it was that we were doing, which then taught me so much about, you know, when you got to editing, it was like telling those stories and being able to build that. Was that the same for you?
Totally. Yeah. I think for me, the reason I grabbed the camera wasn't because I wanted to make like a video or capture a photo. It was because I wanted to like document the experience of whatever was happening around me. Like I wanted to remember it. And so like one way that the best way to do that was to like record it and capture it. And then like also the experience of sharing what I captured with like my friends, or like taking a video of them to be like, yo, look, this is dope. And then they'd be like, oh, like shit, that's so tight. Like that whole process. Yeah. That whole process I became like addicted to before social media or any of that. It was like the feeling of showing something you've created to someone and getting like a reaction, like instantly out of it was like,
I always felt like it was like, you wanted to show people. I don't know if people would necessarily want to watch my shit though.
Totally, exactly. You're like, I want to show, like, look what I made. Like, even if it's trash, I was still like stoked to show it. I mean, I bet you do the same thing. Like, you look back at your own old work and you're like, this is garbage. What was I doing? Yeah. But like, I mean, if you didn't do that and you weren't like confident in sharing that, you weren't going to get anywhere.
Well, I also thought it was cool to teach. I never played football or anything, but I felt like I was getting similar like lanes as far as like capturing what we were doing snowboarding and then going back and watching it like tape for football. You know what I mean? Like
totally.
Like trying to figure out like, why wasn't I sticking the landing, or what was I doing?
100%, bro. Yeah, 100%.
And so many of my friends benefited from that.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Like they're like, oh, I see what I'm doing wrong. Like they watch it. They're like, I flicked my foot like too hard. Let me like run it back and like try to land. Yeah, definitely.
So where your family, I don't know, did you come up in arts at all, or was it, what was your family background?
Not really. My dad's from Beirut, Lebanon. He was born and raised over there. So he moved here when he was 16. My mom grew up in Oregon. They met each other at Portland State. And my dad's an electrical engineer. My mom is stay-at-home mom nowadays. My mom's very artistic for sure. She's more of like a physical artist, like collages and like putting together like frames and that kind of stuff. And then my dad's just like a workhorse.
Yeah.
And I think those two, that combination of like workhorse meets like artistic kind of resonated with me a lot growing up. I actually, not even growing up, not until I was like 20 did I realize that like, oh, that's why I'm like the way I am. I think.
What was it for you that you know, obviously you're like competitive and you're enjoying like the action sports and you're super involved in it, but like, where do you feel like having the camera and making those edits, was it just getting the rise out of people that were watching it, or when did you feel like, oh, this is like, I'm kind of addicted to this?
Yeah, I think maybe I can dive a little bit into like how the social media stuff started as far as like sharing videos and shit like that. Yeah. I think when I went to college, so like in high school, I was competing and I was making these edits and I was sharing it with like the friends on the snowboard team and like showing it, like doing that whole thing. I got injured one year, so I was like, I would go up to the mountain still, but I would like only record. And so that kind of flowed over into college. I went to college at Oregon State University, and while I was there, my roommate was going to school at the time for new media communication, which is like a generic degree in like film broadcasting, production, graphic design, like the whole thing.
I took that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I kind of, we both kind of started this, like, we were like, let's start a company, quote unquote. And it was called Left Brain Media Production. And we would just go around campus and document like live events that were happening, or like random stuff that was going on campus, whether it was like a concert being put on or like an event by the school. And we would document it. And then we would make like I would do like a recap video. Tom would do photos, and we would put it on Facebook. And when we first started seeing this reaction of people going to the Facebook page and like grabbing the photos and using them for their own pages and like their profile pictures. And that was kind of the first glimpse in being like, oh, like you can use social media to get your work out there and people like resonate with it. They get like a personal satisfaction out of like seeing the content afterwards, not only during the event, but like afterwards is just as important. So I think that was when it really like stuck with me. Like, oh, you can make a business out of this, or you can like make, like, I wasn't making any money at the time. Obviously I was doing it like all for free, all for fun. But I realized that there was like a thing there. And I think just like really grinding at that, I ended up working a lot of the campuses, or a lot of the concerts on campus that the school put on. I would shoot them all, obviously for free. I contacted the Roseland Theater in Portland And I was like, yo, if you guys ever need photo video stuff, I would love to come document the show or shoot some stuff. And then you guys can use it for promotional material. But I just want to pass. Like, that's all I want. Like, first 3 songs, get me in there. Like, let me try. So I got to shoot a lot of concerts through that. And then it just kind of like spiraled quickly, you know, like things started like people would come to Portland. I met a promoter. The promoter would let me shoot all of his shows. I was doing also like the landscape stuff as well. So I was going out to like the coast or Mount Hood and the gorge and kind of like documenting just like my life, taking photos, having fun, like doing the whole thing. And I started seeing like a growth on social media. And then one day, I've told this story so many times. I was at a waterfall in Oregon, which is so random. It's like 2 worlds colliding. I was out like at a waterfall, and I met this guy named Spud, and I didn't know this at the time, but Spud was the sound guy for Panic at the Disco. So I was shooting this at this waterfall, and I met him, and he had a camera as well. He was doing like photos for fun. I got his contact, found out what he did, and I was like, "Yo, if you guys ever need a photographer, videographer, let me know. I would love to come out and like help out with some stuff." He hit me up like 3 or 4 times, and like it never panned out. And then finally one day he hit me up there in Russia, and he was like, "Yo, we need you to fly out in like 3 days. Like,
to Russia?
they're gonna call you." No, so they were in Russia. The tour was starting, in the US tour was starting right when they got back.
Yeah.
They were like, "We're gonna be home in 3 days. Management's gonna call you." Management called me the day before. They were like, "Yo, we need you to fly out to Texas. Like, have you toured before?" And I remember being like, "I haven't really toured, but I've worked with a bunch of artists," being like, "I've shot like the first 3 songs of a bunch of stuff, but like, this is what I want to do."
Yeah.
And they were like, "All right, cool." Like super cheap rate. And then I flew out to Texas, and then the rest is kind of history. I was supposed to walk in my college graduation that week, and I like bailed. I was like, "Later, I'm out."
That's
and
insane.
Like, went and did the whole thing. Yeah,
that's
man,
so
it was
sick.
crazy.
It's crazy. Like, what the fuck? What's the chance? I mean, think about how
crazy,
how insane that is of the timing, because you could have showed up an hour late, 15 minutes late, 15 minutes early, and missed that guy.
Miss that dude, miss Spud. And then it's crazy, like a first tour being out with Spud. He's like a big brother now to me. Like always like kicking it with him on the road and stuff. And it's so bizarre seeing that like come full circle. And again, it's like that luck is like I don't know, opportunity meeting like timing. What's that quote? It's like when opportunity meets timing or something like that.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it's like it just like it's super bizarre, and it's crazy that it's.
I love those moments, bro. Like I really cherish those random coincidences, because it really is about, I mean, so you could have gone to the waterfall, and I'm assuming you're just being a nice person and maybe talking to someone, or maybe you guys
just saying what's up.
Totally. Just being like that. But there's so many people that love to just be by themselves or keep their mouth quiet and don't bring shit up. And it's like that ability to network on the fly can go so far, but also just, you could have just stayed at home and watched Netflix that day. You know
I know, for sure. It's crazy, dude.
Done nothing, and you went out.
I can only imagine all the stories that you've heard, like being on this podcast, like the random, like one little word conversation that just like spiraled into something bigger than you ever thought it was going to be. It's so crazy.
It's about like just putting shit out there, and I think that goes so far for people to just say like even if it's just talking about what your wants are, like I want to do this, and someone hears that and they take that, they're like, oh well, I have access to this
like
thing.
It resenates somewhere, and then they like connect the dots slowly. It's like people always say like speaking into existence kind of a thing, and I back that 100%. It's crazy.
So when you guys, I want to go back a little bit. So when you were running that production, Left Brain Media, is that what you called it?
Left Brain Media.
Yeah. Tight name.
Thank you.
I would love to know, like, what were you guys, who were you like paying attention to that gave you the idea that like, oh, this could be like a some sort of like production company, or how do we get the gear? Like how did you figure out like what kind of gear to get?
That's such a good question. I've never been asked that. I don't know if you remember this company, but they were called I'm Schmacked. Do you remember this?
No. What do they make?
Bro, they would go around to college campuses and just make like crazy college hype videos where it was like the kids going absolutely ape shit, like partying their faces off, like do it like so degenerate. And I was like, we can do that. Like we party. It's it's college. It's easy. Every year, Oregon State would do this thing called Shasta Weekend, where like all the fraternities would like get together, and they would like probably like 150 plus boats would get rented out, houseboats in Lake Shasta, and we would all go there and party for like a weekend. It was It's
Dude,
wild. And they still,
how many people have died at that? That sounds
bro,
so dangerous.
It's so dangerous, bro. Yeah, it's so dangerous.
What
Not
the
tight.
fuck?
Looking back on it, like my sister's in college now, and I'm like, please don't go.
Go
Please
to
don't
that,
go.
or at
Please
least
don't
wear
go.
this life jacket. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Damn, what the fuck?
But I would go there and I would film videos, and like that was the first, like I hate to say, but that was the first stuff that started going like viral for me. Like it got posted on like Playboy Mag. It was like, it got like 50,000 views on YouTube, and I was like just seeing that you can make, I mean, the video was like degenerate as fuck. You know what I mean? Like it was like gnarly, but being able to like show that you can make something, put it online, and people are reciprocating, it was definitely like, that was like, all right, I don't want to be making party videos, but like stuff, like the internet's starting to like take off a little bit. And it was in the sweet pocket where like Instagram was still like shouting out creators, and it was all about photography, and it was like about growing your network and things like that. So I really dove into it head first.
Well, I think I mean, also what it does is it gives you like some sort of platform, but like especially within the campus, right? Like if the campus has, you got to think like on a macro level, like there's so many people that you kind of could network within or build a community or a following of just off of the school alone. So like you kind of becoming those dudes on campus, like, yo, those are the people that made us look epic, or our party looked epic. Now those same frats or fraternities or whatever the fuck they're called, they go and book like whoever, the artist, to come through and perform a show. Like maybe they want to bring you through.
This is exactly what happened. Yeah, 100%. That's literally what happened. Yeah, for sure. Like the fraternity that booked Too Short and like Mac Miller. Mac Miller was like the first concert that I ever shot, which is crazy. Like snuck my camera in, and then the promoter was like, yo, you got to get out of here. And I was like, hire me for the next shows. And then it was like, from there, it was like Too Short, some other like random people. Yeah.
Yo, hire me though.
I was like, yo, like, yeah, I mean, crazy shit, man. But yeah,
which tour was that? That what Mac Miller tour was that? Do you remember?
It was Blue Slide Park.
Yeah, that I think we went to that when I was in Iowa too. That was such a dope tour. Like the
so
stage
sick,
was
bro.
so cool.
Yeah, it was crazy, and I still have footage from it. And like,
you actually did get to shoot.
So what happened was I actually bought a ticket, and I would like sneak my camera in. And, like I had like a backpack with it was like a separate pocket, and I would just like show them my empty backpack and be like, it's for my hoodie.
Smart.
And like the bottom part was like for a camera accessory. So I would like take that in, and I got it in, bought to the front row, like battled my way through the pit to the front row. And then I just like had my camera, and I remember like halfway through the show, like the promoter came up to me and he was like, you can't, like, you got to stop shooting. And I was like, no, like I paid to be here. Like I have a ticket. And he was like, you got to get rid of it. And they ended up letting me stay or whatever. And then later I posted all the photos on Instagram or on Facebook, and the promoter reached out and was like, yo, you got to take these down. And I was like, how about you just hire me for the, like, whatever shows you put on, and then like we don't have to deal with this issue ever again. And he was like, all right, fuck it.
So he was down?
Yeah, he was down. I got booked for a couple shows through him. I did so like cool. Migos. I did I can't remember their name. It was like a 303 style like band. But yeah, that's crazy, man. Like thinking back on those moments, like those small moments add up over, you know what I mean? Like those little tiny dots, they start like adding up into something bigger.
Being in Portland, are you and Black Prince homies?
Yeah, Nesrin. Yeah, she's the homie for sure.
That shit,
yeah.
Huh?
She grew up in Court. Huh?
She was on the podcast like during COVID era.
Oh, sick. That's crazy. Yeah. She grew up in Corvallis, and that's where I was going to college. Like that's where I went to college at.
Yeah. I thought it was cool talking to her about like the idea that like Portland's a big enough, it's far enough away, and but it's still such a big city. So like the opportunity for people to roll through and shows that like good enough shows to happen where you can really turn, because I'm trying to remember what the full topic was, but it was like really the idea of making something in your city, because the question's always like, do I need to move to LA? Do I need to move to New York or whatever? But a lot of people have opportunity or close enough to Portland or Seattle or whatever to like get in and try to like make a name for yourself with these types of shows.
Yeah, and I also think it can kind of be a benefit sometimes not being in LA or not being in New York, because you kind of get to become that person in your city that is shooting those shows. Like you work your way up to be like, it's also easy. Like getting a photo pass in LA is a pain.
That's exactly
like,
what she said. That's exactly what she said. She's like, because all the homies are trying to come through. The guest list is packed out.
Yeah, it's madness. Or like New York's the same way. Like in Portland, there's like not that many people that there's like not like no homie. I mean, people live in Portland, but not in like the music industry. Right, like there's a lot of cool stuff happening in Portland, but the music industry is in LA and New York, and when you have the opportunity to kind of like be that dude and know the people in the industry, but be like, I'm in Portland, like the guest list is empty. Like, let me slide through. Like, it's definitely, it can benefit you for sure.
So were you guys, when, you know, at that point in time, you're starting to like shoot more of these local shows and you're trying to get your name out there. Is Left Brain starting to fizzle out with your homie, or are you doing it solo, or what's going on?
Yeah, I think what happened was Instagram started to pop off, like I was talking about. And I definitely gravitated toward using it and like the shameless like self-promotion, just like sharing my work, whatever it was, like putting it out there. And I kind of was able to slowly, not necessarily like I still like think about like going back to Left Brain and being like, that was dope, like let's bring it back kind of a thing. But like I think like I was able to kind of pull myself away and realize that like, okay, I can do my own thing. Like and also like Tom started doing his own stuff, so it was just like no bad blood or anything, but just like growing up, like doing your own thing.
So then what were you was there a certain point, like obviously it sounds like it was all art for you, right? Like you're just trying to capture your favorite images and you just want to share that and make people happy and see your work. Is there a time at that point before you start touring? Because it sounds like you did that for a little while, right? Like was this kind of like the grind back in Oregon for a while before tour happened?
Yeah. Like all through college, probably like a solid like 4 to 5 years of just like
shooting local.
DMing, shooting my shot, trying to get into shows, like trying to shoot whatever I can, working on campus for like as the photographer on campus for events, like really like anyway. I was working for a summer camp, like a leadership summer camp where I would go every summer for 2 weeks and make like recap videos for the kids to like take home at the end of the end of the
that's cool,
the summer camp. You know what I mean? Just like the typical grind of like. And like looking back on it, like I was learning so much, like little tiny things, like I said, just like started adding up, like how to edit video, how to use the internet, how to upload correctly, how to download, how to email, how to communicate, like all these things started just like adding up. And then like the panic opportunity came by and I was like, I think I can do it. Like I think I know what it takes to do it. And if not, I'm going to develop it on the road if I don't know how to do it now. Like I'm down to learn. I don't know everything. Totally. And I think that's a big part.
Were you, so like during that, the 4 or 5 years or whatever, when you were doing it, were you trying to tie business to this? Like, were you like, oh, this is a way to make money? Or was it just like, I'm in college, let me just do this on the side and try to build my name?
Yeah. And I think I was definitely trying to more build my name than anything. And like at college, like I wasn't like money to me wasn't like, I don't know, you're going to school. Like I wasn't like pressed. This was fun for me, right? Like I didn't want it to be like a job or something that I have to like go do to financially benefit. I just was like doing it for fun. And I thought it was dope and I thought it was cool. And I've done it for so long. It was just like second nature to be doing it.
Yeah.
And so the only business aspect I think I got involved in is we did like merch one time, which was really cool. And I was like, oh, that's sick. You can like sell some t-shirts and make some change. And like
with what, like prints or something, like from
we did like the Left Brain Media logo, and I just like sold them on campus. Like when we were shooting events, we would like bring some with us in a backpack and be like, like when we would wear the shirt and be like, we can like sell you one kind of a thing, you know what I mean? Like just like true hustle mentality. Just like grinding it out for sure.
But I think that's also part of like the, because I feel similar, like when I was like in high school or college and that era, it's like I was like always trying to just make stuff and try to get people excited or whatever, and then it's on to the next. But I never understood. I even had like a job at a venue where I was like the in-house video photo person, but at the time I only wanted to do video. When I got my camera, I was not a photographer. I would like be insulted if people called me that for whatever reason. I was just like, I don't shoot photos. Totally. But then I'm like shooting the photos for the shows, and eventually like I'm doing it, and I didn't even realize I'm just getting paid like a minimum wage, but there's probably way more money to be made than this. But it's because it's exciting when you're just like curating you're developing your look. You're just it's all about making shit at that point in time. And I think the business part of it falls in line later, which I assume that's what the case was for you, but I was
100%. Yeah. I mean, at that point too, like when Panic called me, for example, and they like offered me a number, it was like so low. But to me at that time, like I was like, wait, you're offering me money to come make something? Like, fuck yeah, let's do it.
You're like, can I bring my Left Brain shirts on the road?
Exactly. Like I did not care at all. I was like, whatever you guys offer me, I'm gonna say yes to. So
were you a fan of them prior?
I was like a fan of them when I was really, really young. Like in middle school and stuff. But no, at that point I wasn't a fan of them. And I didn't even know they were still touring, which is crazy because I came on, like Panic's gone through these like crazy roller coasters, right? And I came on like right before they released Death of a Bachelor, which was like, I don't know, the High Hope song was the next record.
Right.
So like I did that one. I toured with them on like, I did first tour out was a Weezer Panic co-headliner. Then I came home and then I went on the Death of a Bachelor tour with them. And then came home and did Lorde, and then came home and did Panic. But I was out the first tour I went out with them. I was doing weekly recap videos, photos after the show every single night, and then all their promo stuff for the tour as well. So
Yeah.
and I was like, I would not say no. Like if they were like, yo, we need this, I would just be like, cool, I'll do it. Like and looking back, it was like it was like grindy, but I was like stoked to be there, and I was stoked to do it. And I was like, I'm gonna just learn how to do this shit. I'm gonna figure it out, and then if they need notes or changes, I'm gonna learn like what they like, what they don't like, and I'm just gonna like try to grow with them. You know
Such
what I
a
mean?
good education too, like for you to be able to like really push yourself into it. And I thought I heard Adam, you were on Adam's podcast. I was listening to that too. Shout out to Adam, he was on here too.
Dope, I love that.
His Halloween picture, I don't know if you saw his egg crate picture. Shit that he did is like the funniest shit I've ever seen.
That shit went crazy viral too.
I know. But what I thought was cool, like when I was looking at it, I know you told him on his podcast, you were saying how you almost got fired like immediately because they realized how green you were to touring. Like you just didn't understand it. But what I love is the foresight of like, okay, cool, or just the insight of you were almost got fired within like 2 weeks, but then like you make all these recap videos, and I was watching a couple of them, and what I loved was that you're like a character in some of these recaps where like I hear you talking to people, and they're cool with it because these videos got released, and I think that's often rare for an artist to like allow someone to become part of like their camp in that way. But I love the idea of that you almost got fired, but then you got so tied in that you're like family with them, you know?
Yeah, no, those are that is family. That is literally like they've taken care of me since day one. But definitely, I think also it came down to how I recorded. Like I felt awkward just pointing the camera at them and being silent. Like it felt unnatural.
Yeah.
So to try to like have a conversation and get them to interact was like way easier for me than to be like, hey, do this thing, I'm not going to talk.
Right.
Like it felt really unnatural every time I did that. The footage looked unnatural. It felt tense. It felt weird.
Yeah.
So to be like picking up the camera and like pointing it at them and then having these conversations occur. And then when I was editing, I would try to cut out my voice, but it wouldn't make sense. Like the flow of the video wouldn't make sense because it would be like, what are they talking about? Like you would have to hear the idea behind it. But yeah, that definitely it turned into like part of the branding with Panic, I think, and it's really fun. I mean, Brendan is like one of my favorite people in the world. He's been so good to me, and that whole camp's like great.
No,
so,
I really love that, and I mean to put like explanation behind you getting almost fired, it was just the sole fact that you just didn't understand how the road worked. Like I even heard you guys answer the question about you throwing the towels on the floor. I'm guilty. When you're taking a shower. When you're taking a shower, there's no fucking way I'm standing on that nasty shit.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna stop the podcast real quick, just for a second, to talk about the illest thing I've ever done as a creative, and in my opinion, that was start the Black Window Cream community. Creating like an online place for creatives of all walks of life, whether you're just getting started or you've been doing this for 25 years, for everyone to be able to come into a safe space and connect with each other has just been so motivating. I see people share their ideas, provide tips and tricks. They're offering job opportunities. People are getting hired. They're connecting. They're building friendships, like real authentic friendships, by just being in this creative space together. It's such a cutthroat industry, and I feel like we're always just pitted to be against each other or to try to flex on each other all the time on social media and stuff. But this is not that. It's the exact opposite. The walls are down. We're all just with each other, like as if we were in some massive coffee shop, just shooting the shit. So if you haven't joined the community, I highly suggest you check it out, bwnc.com/join. We would love to have you in there. It's $1 for the first month. Come and say hi. We'll see you in the community. All right, let's get back to this podcast episode.
I was so new to touring, and I think when I got there, like the first thing I asked them was like, how do I unlock the bus? And they were just like, what do you mean? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And I think I was just so like, I had so many questions. I didn't know how like, and they were patient with me too. Like I didn't know how like, why I couldn't share certain things. I wanted to be able to share all the stuff that I was taking. I wanted full access to everything. You know what I mean? And it was like a learning curve to be like, this is how it operates. This is who you have to go through. This
right.
Like that whole back end of it is something that you don't get experience until you're there.
Right.
Because like usually when you're shooting the first 3 songs, they're not going through your photos being like, yo, you know what I mean? Like they're not checking it all. So for me, the actually working in the industry was very different than just shooting for the industry. If that makes sense.
No, totally. So at that time, you get this big tour. How was that? What was it? Full US? Was it?
Dude, it was full US. It was 3 months long. The first tour, 3 months long, full amphitheater summer tour. And then we went home for like 2 weeks, and then we went straight into Death of a Bachelor. It was like when I first started touring, it was a good like 6 to 8 months of nonstop touring, which was crazy, bro.
Yeah, you gotta love that, huh?
Little college kid. The tour was sponsored by Burnett's. They were all like, "What is this?" And I was like, "It's like the gnarliest vodka ever." And I was like, "Give me it! Like I want it."
Yeah, I want it. Do you feel like, as you did that first tour, obviously you went on to go tour with Lorde and more people, like you keep touring. Did this kind of feel like, this is what I want to be doing? I want to be a touring photographer, videographer, editor, or was it just kind of like you're going with the flow to see where this leads? Because I'm curious, like earlier on, like when you're doing all the campus shit and you're just trying to get your name out there, was there like some sort of, was there an inspo or someone that you were looking up to, like, man, I would love to be like this person someday, or I would love to have that job, or whatever it may be? Where were you trying to take it with, or was it just random?
I think when I was in college, I just wanted to document things. Like if you ask my parents or my family, like what I wanted to do, I just wanted to be like documenting something with a camera, whether it was snowboarding, athletes, artists, like whatever it was. I just wanted to be using a camera and like documenting someone's experience. I was fascinated by it. I loved it since I was super, super young. But once I got on tour, it like clicked so fast for me that like, this is what I want to be doing.
Yeah.
Like I was like, it was like within like, I mean, even shooting like the first three, like the first concert I snuck into, that Mac Miller show, I remember being there and being like, I want to do this forever. This is sick.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I don't know. There's like this mystique behind it, right? When you first start out, that you're so jaded to it. And you're like, oh, I have like a camera. I get to access all this like stuff. I get to like document this whole. I just was like fascinated by it, obsessed with it. And then once I got on the road, I was like, this is literally it. This is like what I've been trying to figure. I didn't know what I want to do, but like as soon as I stepped into that role, I was like, this is what I want to do. And I think I didn't want to lose that. So I just worked my ass off, and I didn't ask for much in return. I was just like, I grinded it out. I networked really well with like the label, or management team. So Panic and Crush are all under, or Lorde and Panic are under the same management company called Crush.
Okay, cool.
And so I was like, if you guys ever need anything, like while Panic's not on, like let me know. So that's how the Lorde opportunity came up.
Oh, dope.
And then it was like building my personal network, like on Instagram. Social, I mean, it's like a cluster. It happens so fast. You're just like doing the thing. You're like, how did I get here? Kind of feeling.
What was your approach to, obviously just putting the word out there, like, hey, I'm around. What do you remember what it was like to work with Lorde? Like how you got that job? Like, obviously you're like, hey, and they've seen your work before. Did they have to pitch you? Did you have to like have a conversation with her? Was there any like, kind of, what's that shit called? Where you're like, not grooming someone. What's the thing called? Where they're like vetting you. They're like vetting you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So so I did Panic, and then Lorde was about to go out on tour, and they showed her just like my concert stuff. I remember, and I got an email that just said like, do you want to tour with Jake? Do you want to tour with Ella? And I was like, I responded, who's Ella? I had no idea. Like, no, just like, again, so green to all of it. But it was cool because I've talked about this before, but and you'll understand this, that like every artist has different like artistic vision, and you kind of come in and you have to like kind of match that or give them, while putting your own spin on it, you have to give them their branding with your photos.
Right.
So with Lorde, for example, she just wanted film the whole time. So like when I went out on tour with Lorde, I literally had like 3 film cameras, didn't develop anything till I got home, just shot photos the whole time, which was sick. But then there's Panic, who also wants like weekly recap videos, digital photos right after the show.
Yeah, they want
like
the moon.
They want the whole thing. So it's like, I think it's like,
you got to go on vacation with Lorde.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, sleep a little bit.
It's cool seeing like the differences in artists, and I think you also learn what you want to do more of and what you want to do less of by trying those things.
Yeah. No, I agree. How long was Lorde's tour?
We did a world tour. It was like a year and a half. Melodrama.
Wait, a year and a half of only film?
We did digital for the US run, and then after that she was like, I just want film.
So did she was there not that's so many roles. Is there like no need from the label to be to be dropping like they just were like, yeah, whenever we get done with the tour. To me, there's such a huge need for artists. I mean, they all depend on social awareness, and it's hard to get the word out on certain things. So that's why it usually is so necessary for someone to be like, weekly recaps. We need photo drops every night, all this shit, because
totally. It makes
they
sense,
need to keep
right?
selling fucking tickets, you know?
Yeah.
But they were just like, yo, it is what it is.
Yeah, I think she's so hands-on with the creative side of everything. She's like super. I mean, she's more than you probably you work with artists who are like musicians, and then there's like artists who are like artists. Like she's very much like that, where she is hands-on with everything, and she wants control over everything. Even now, she doesn't use social media. She has it. She like has, I think, 3 photos on there, and then she sends out like random newsletters via email with like photos attached to it. It's really cool. And she's just really smart with like how she does her branding. And I think with her, less is more, like quality over quantity kind of thing. And I mean, you see that with her music. Like, it took her 4 years to release an album since Melodrama. So Solar Power just came out in 4 years or something.
So were you when you got off tour, you know, or how much, I guess, what would be like a day-to-day deal for you? Like, how much were you actually shooting? Were you kind of reserved, or like how were you handling that?
With her, it was sick. She was super open to like whatever. Whenever I was around her, I had a camera. There's so many photos that will just probably one day maybe be in a book or something. But like there's like roll after roll after roll,
like
of
portraits,
really cool
back behind the scenes stuff, all that.
Totally, everything. Yeah, all that stuff for sure. And then you have someone like that who's like, shoot everything you want. Same with Panic, like shoot whatever. And then you have someone like Mello, like Marshmello, who's like, we have to wait till like we're in uniform type of thing. Like you don't, there's no point to shoot anything else. So like you're traveling all over the world 24/7 with this guy, but you can't shoot like any of it.
That's
so it's like
bizarre.
It's so crazy, bro. And I definitely, I think it's been really beneficial to be able to like see all different aspects of the touring world, because I feel like a lot of people get, like, it's great, like when you build a relationship with one artist and you tour with them, that's like your person and you're their person. That's awesome. But I think it's also really, really cool to be able to have the chance to jump around and see how different camps operate. And you just grow as like not only like as an artist, but as like a business person too. You kind of like navigate the world.
Well, and also that way. There starts to become something there where people realize that they can trust you. You know, camps are being able to vouch, and then you're able to bounce around, because that is the tough part about touring, is if you're only relying on that and you're with one camp, like you're waiting for another album to drop. There's like 2, 3. If you're just only shooting Lorde's tour stuff, it's
waiting 4 years.
Yeah, you're not working. You know what I mean? So people have to find a way to do it, but that is really cool. So then what, you know, for you, like, what were some of the standout moments? Because it's what is this, like 6 years of touring for you? Like in a row?
I think now. Yeah. I mean, after the Pray for the Wicked tour, that was right before COVID. It had been about 7 years straight of touring.
Was that the tour you got hurt on?
No. So the tour I got hurt on was Hella Mega. So that was Green Day, Fall Out Boy, and Weezer.
Which happened after COVID.
It was like the first big tour to happen since COVID. Like it was it was like the first tour out since COVID happened.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and that was a crazy call, because that tour was supposed to be a year earlier too. And I got the call to do that tour, and we were stoked on it. And then COVID happened and it got postponed. So I didn't even know if I was going to do the tour.
Right. Yeah. So basically up to that point, 7 years of touring,
like nonstop.
What do you feel like, what in those 7 years, what do you feel like was like the most transformative periods of time for you, or jobs or talent? Like, what was something that just felt like it was working, it was making you grow as an artist, you know, aside from just the normal, like, oh, I kind of learned how to deal with certain pieces of the business or whatever?
Yeah, I think realizing that people trusted me to like execute, I don't know, like there was like a huge trust factor that happened during that time, you know, and I could feel it. Like people trusted me to be able to, like you said, share, like shoot specific things that you normally wouldn't shoot, be at certain events that you're not, like photographers and videographers don't normally go to. And kind of like really dialing in that trust factor and like the understanding of the industry and how like moments the camera should be up, moments the camera should be down. I also think I really found like my style and like artistically, like what I wanted to be creating, what I wanted my look to be like, what I wanted to be known for. Within those 7 years was like really important, and just like growing too. I was a fucking kid, dude. I was like 20 years old, 21 years old, just getting on tour. Like, you're so young at that age, and like to go from 21 to like 26, 27 with like nonstop, meeting all these different people, different walks of life. Like I think I just grew a lot as a person, and it helped me like understand what I wanted to be doing.
Yeah.
Moving forward.
No,
too.
I love that.
Yeah.
There's it's interesting too to think the difference in types of tours you were doing, and like when you go from someone like Panic, you're on bus, you're traveling constantly, and maybe you're flying a little bit, but you're always usually on a bus. And then to do someone like Marshmello, where it's probably like all jets, right?
All jets. It's like 24/7.
So
crazy.
What was that? What was you gotta tell like the first time you hopped on the jet, or
oh my gosh, bro, I was shook. I remember I played it so cool. I was like, you know what I mean? Like, oh no, I've been here before. I do this. This is part of the thing. But I remember geeking out. I also like, I hate flying to begin with. Yeah. So like flying on jets was like terrifying for me. Like there were so many times that I'm gonna die. Like this is you know, this jet starts shaking. I'm like, game over.
Right.
But I mean, the DJ life is so fast paced. You would do 3 shows in 3 different cities in one night, and you're like, where are we sleeping tonight? Like, what do you mean? Like,
so wait, literally walk through like one of those days.
So like we did a China run where we would literally, we landed in like Hong Kong. We landed in Hong Kong. We did a show. We jetted to another city for a club, for like a club, late night club show that night. And then right after that, we jetted straight to, what's the other, Hong Kong, and then Shanghai right after that for another club show in the same night. So it was no, not Shanghai. I can't remember the cities, but it was within like flying distance. Each flight was like an hour. It was like, get on the plane, fly, do an actual festival, get on the plane, fly, do a club, get on the plane, fly, do a club, sleep in that city, wake up, and then like fly out the next day.
God,
like they would do stuff like that all the time. Like it was madness. Like Vegas, for example, we did. Yeah. I lived in Vegas for like 52 weekends with him. We would fly out on Thursday night. We would do 3 shows over the weekend, then fly home on like Sunday. And it's just like night after night after night.
So tired.
They don't perform at 2. They don't perform till 2 a.m. You're like getting done at 4. They want to go out afterwards. You're like, madness, bro.
Good Lord.
Madness.
Was it?
I love them though.
Yeah. If you were doing like on those nights where it'd be like back to backs, like 3 shows in one night, is your idea? What is your kind of deliverable goals? Are they is their team providing that? Or are they saying like, hey, let's just highlight that we went ape in one night here, and this will be the full recap? Was it primarily video, or did you see yourself transitioning to like more photo work, or is it just kind of depending on the client?
It was kind of like depending. It was weird. I feel like during those 7 years, I think a lot happened in the industry where it went from like, we just need a photographer for photos at the end of the night, to being like, you have to be able to do both, like video and photo and graphics and editing. You know what I mean? Like they want like the one person that can do it all. And I think over those 7 years, I was able to navigate the industry and figure out how to do that. So when we did have these like crazy weekends on like, or weekends or one night offs with all those shows,
right?
I think the discussion would be like beforehand, like, what are we looking to get the most bang for a buck here? Do you want like a video recap? Do you want photos? I think a lot of the times what they would want is like photo. For Marshmello specifically, he really wanted photos right after the show, and then like maybe like 2 days after the event, have like a full recap of the whole weekend kind of thing. So it wasn't like the deliveries weren't too bad. Like photos are like easy. You can get those done like within the night, send them over. But it was always like the video editing that I was like, you want a full video recap it by tomorrow? Like,
yeah, because then you gotta strategize.
Yeah, exactly. You got to figure it out. Madness.
Yeah. How would you prep? Like, if you did have to do those types of recaps, what's your typical process of like shot listing in your head mentally, like making sure you're getting the coverage, especially if you're going from like festival to nightclub? You get to nightclub, it's a clusterfuck. There's already hella people there. It's not like you do the establishing shots. Like, what would be your process for those?
Yeah, I think in my brain, because it was like such fly on the wall type stuff, especially with touring, like you don't have a lot of time to prep. You don't know what the building's going to look like. You don't know what your green room's going to be like, if you're going to like be walking in public at all. So I would really just like shoot as much as I possibly could and just document like showing up, just have my camera like on shooting, like when we're walking into the venue, when we get into the green room, like as soon as he put his uniform on or the helmet on, like getting whatever I can, slow-mo, like regular speed. And then really it was like getting back to the editing bay and like laying out like what I have on a timeline and being like, all right, this is what I have to work with for this edit. How can we make something cool out of this? How can I tell a story about like the weekend without it just being like flash of epic, nothing, like, I don't know.
Sleep on a plane.
Exactly. Like how do I put together like a story here? How do I make this look cool and different? Because like it all, like at the end of the day, even with like touring, you're shooting the same show night after night after night. It's the same visuals, the same, I mean, even with DJs, like the venue's different, but the actual show is the same. Like the set is the same most nights.
Right.
So trying to figure out ways to make that look different and creative is probably one of the most challenging parts in the industry. I mean, you probably get that too.
No,
100%.
Like
it's challenging. It can get boring too, because you just get jaded to the show and like you're kind of like I don't know, you feel like you've done everything, but you always have to figure out like the next best thing.
Yeah, you're always trying to like one up yourself, and
exactly. That's the best way to put it, is always wanting to one up yourself. I think in this industry too, like there's a sense of like stubbornness that like, I mean, like for you to want to shoot, like make something and show someone, like there's a little bit of ego behind that no matter what. Like everyone can say like, I have no ego, but like if you're an artist, you want people to see your thing. And you know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, like you want people to see what you're doing. So I think trying to prove to yourself and everyone around you, like that competitive edge too, those things kind of push you to create more and do better than you did before.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. The what's cool, I think too, and I'm curious how you dealt with it, was as you progressively, like through the college days to like starting to tour more and all that shit, you start to build like your own following as well, right? So like, you know, you go fucking, you know, you got your little audience or whatever, you got a little verification badge and so on and so forth. No, but like you start to build up some of that clout. How? Because I know like on your website you had like a collaboration section too. So like I'm assuming like at a certain point people want to be attached to you because you're building an audience. So like, did you start working any of that into your, I don't know, your day-to-day or like part of your quote unquote business too, like where you're like, oh, I could do collaborations with people? Or would you ever collaborate with people for traveling and shit? I know you're with Sony. We got a little beef because I'm with Canon now, so
yeah, battle royale.
Battle royale, fight to the death type shit. But how did that play out for you too? Like how did you use that to your advantage, I guess?
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think what the first like collaboration I did. When I was shooting like a lot of landscape stuff, like after my first tour, like in between tours, I would go on like road trips, and all my like Portland photographer friends were very into landscapes and things like that. And that's kind of how they were making their money, was these collaborations. Like a cabin would be like, hey, can you come stay at our cabin for a night, take cool photos, and then post it online. And so it was like that whole influencer aspect of it was really cool. But I also hated it at the same time, like selling my soul and selling what I'm doing to like promote something that I'm not super stoked on.
Yeah.
So any collaboration that I've done, I've really like thought about and made sure that it makes sense. One of the big ones was Adobe reached out, which was sick.
That's dope.
So I got to do a collaboration with Adobe where it was like promoting. It was actually Marshmello and Halsey's single that they put out, and we got to do like a whole. They gave me a budget to kind of like give away money to these kids that were graphic designers at like my high school that I went to.
Oh, sick!
And that was one of the first big collaborations that I was like, this is dope. Like this, I want to do things like this, that like helping other people while also like being able to benefit on my end, and the brand gets to benefit from it. Like it's a full circle thing that I really enjoy doing stuff like that.
So did they pitch you on that idea, or did you come up with the idea of like, yo, it'd be cool to give back to my high school, and like I know there's a program there?
Yeah. So they came to me with the idea of like, here's these assets. Can you make a cool video for the song? We'll give you a check to like make this cool thing. I was like, well, how about like if you guys can help out with a little bit more budget? I have this whole idea. So I pitched to them the idea of like going to the high school, and it was the digital arts program there. That's like really where I like first started like editing, like had a computer to edit at and like do things like that. So I was like, it's kind of like a full circle moment to give these like senior graduates that are wanting to go to school for arts, or at least really into it, like a little bit of like an up and up. So we gave like $500 to 5 different kids to help like pay for a camera or a laptop or whatever, you know what I mean? Like whatever, help out with school, whatever it was. And we made like a little recap video about it, and it was really cool. So those type of collaborations are like something that I'll always want to do.
Was the teacher that was teaching that class your teacher originally, or no?
She's not anymore, unfortunately, but she was my neighbor, so I knew her very, very well.
Yeah.
So the new teacher was a neighbor, and that was really cool.
That's so cool. I feel like that's like always the best part about, you know, when you get into a position that people will open up their arms to you, like brands. They just want like the typical thing because they have their agenda, but when you're able to parlay that and do some good for people or the community or whatever,
dude, I love it.
It's like the coolest shit ever. That's so dope. Yeah, man, that's so crazy. So much
more like rewarding too. I mean, for everyone too. Like I think brands get caught up with analytics so fast that they're just like, no, we just need the numbers. But like that, I guarantee you did way more of an impact than just doing like a typical like, hey, let's like let's pay you to promote this song, you know, like
yeah.
I don't know.
And
like,
honestly, it's like that kind of they low key just got like 5 probably lifetime subscribers to the platform.
To Adobe for sure.
Yeah,
100%.
Like I'm for
You're
sure
like benefiting no matter
I'm
what.
not gonna go to Avid after that shit. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, totally.
it's like too tight. It's too tight. When you were doing like so obviously photography is like the quickest way for you to get your name out there and everything, and you were doing video recaps and stuff, but I know you've done like a handful of music videos and stuff, and did you direct the one with Rae Jepsen?
Yep, directed the Rae Jepsen video. That was like a peak COVID video, so we COVID. Like I did like this whole thing where I was like zooming in with the band and Carly and like setting up shots and like figuring out how to make it look cool and piecing it together piece by piece. I've done also, like when I was going to school, I got into 3D animation and modeling a lot. I never touched it though until recently. Like during COVID, I started being like, oh, I want to learn like how to do 3D again.
Yeah.
So I've dove back into that. So I think just like trying to continue to learn different techniques and like I don't know, programs to perpetuate like my art or perpetuate what I want to be doing. Also with my injury, that's like a huge thing, not being able to tour as much as I wanted to anymore. So
yeah, you're like finding new outlets.
Yeah, we can dive into that monster too.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna ask, like, how were you getting the name out there for you to direct music videos? Like, was that a goal? Like, because I saw you did the Weezer one, which you used tour footage, and and then Carly's like you're working with their team to like shoot that, which is really cool that you were able to pull that off. I mean, you got to think, bro, like you got to go back to it, be like, I'm in my little town outside of Portland and I'm directing a Rae Jepsen video who's
I know, bro.
had one of the biggest singles of all time. You know what I mean? So to be able to do that from afar is really special. Yeah,
it's weird. I think like I mean,
was that a goal for you? Was it a goal for you to like direct more? Is that kind of like in your plan?
Yeah, I definitely want to, and I think down the road I want to do more directing of videos and things like that. I think for me, it made sense. And I've talked to some people about this and they're like, no, like that doesn't like not a lot of people do that, but the transition makes sense for me personally to be like a touring music photographer and working in the industry and then wanting to do more. Like that just makes sense to me. You know what I mean? Like there's stepping stones, and like the next step for me was like, okay, let's try music videos. Let's try tour visuals. Let's try like creative direction for like the album rollout. And that's like where I really want to be headed in the future, is like that kind of stuff. Having more creative control over everything is something that's really important to me, because for so long it's like I'll work with an artist and they'll be like, here's the branding, can you make something cool with our branding, like make something dope with this. And I want to be on the other side of it now, where I'm like helping creating that branding and rolling it out to people. So it just made sense to, I think, do music videos. And Panic's tour manager is really close with Rae. He worked with Rae forever. So when she needed someone during COVID, he was like, just again, word of mouth, like it just made sense. Yeah, exactly. And then Weezer video, same thing. When we were out on the road, I was like, yo, let's like just make a video. Like this is easy. This is sick. Like let's make it happen. We have some stuff working with Panic that was another live video style stuff, but I definitely want to get more into directing of like being on set directing something as well. So I don't know, like that transition makes sense to me.
Dude, that's so crazy. I mean, it's also going off of like Panic and how much that plays into your career, and that dude at the water hole. Like it's so crazy.
Bro, isn't that nuts?
It's like crazy as shit ever.
One dude at a waterfall, and then just like split. He's the homie too, still to this day, one of my best friends. Like really he's great. That's fucking crazy.
No, I love that. I don't know if you know Mike Carson, but he's coming on in a couple hours. We're doing his interview after, but creative direction dude all through and through. And I think you'll love that episode too, whatever we're talking about. But
I'm gonna have to check that out for sure.
It's so necessary, and there's so many more artists that are focusing more on it, where it's before it used to just be like band performance, maybe some visuals, or maybe it's IMAG of them performing. But now people are like, how much more can we add to the stage performance? Because it's the show. It's like, especially because people are all fucking filming this shit the whole time, and like you want it to look insane so that people want to come see you, you know?
For sure.
I think that'll be a really cool transition.
Yeah. And luckily, like I've had a couple opportunities to like really try it out, and it's I mean, again, like with my injury, it makes sense. Like it feels like the next step.
Did you so COVID happens, that tour comes along. It was like a ton of big artists on that tour, right?
The Hell Omega?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Green Day, Fall Out Boy, and Weezer.
Was it like all co-headlining, or were they like rotating?
Co-headlining, but it was Weezer first, Fall Out Boy, and then Green Day. And it was like great. It was like a Green Day show.
It was a Green Day show.
Yeah,
They
it
took
was
over
like,
that shit.
it was wild. Yeah.
So that was supposed to happen. COVID happens, it gets pushed, then it comes back. So you're getting like, oh, hey, we're doing this again. Are you the only, how many other like creatives were on the road capturing content or making content on that tour?
So each band had their own individual person. Weezer's person is more of like a personal guy. He's their homie they've known forever. He's not really doing a bunch of stuff for socials. Fall Out Boy had Elliot, who's amazing.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen Elliot's work.
Elliot
He's Ingram.
Okay.
He's fucking sick.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
He's great. I'll show you his stuff after this. But he crushes it with Fall Out Boy. And then Green Day, same thing. They have like a personal dude who's been with them forever, but not a lot of social content, more just like photography, like taking some clips here and there. So they wanted someone to come on at first to because the tour was sponsored by Harley to begin with. So they wanted someone to come on to help build content for Harley. Harley pulled out during COVID just because it was like COVID scare, like didn't want to do the tour or whatever. But they still wanted someone to come out and help build content for kind of like cohesively, like have like hella mega content on the back end. So like each band has their own individual thing, but then like we're able to create content for the whole tour. So they like had a hella mega tour page, they had a hella mega TikTok, and then like my content would get dispersed not only that page but over to like Fall Out Boy, Green Day, Weezer, like everything in between. So I had access to shoot all 3 bands. It was fucking nuts.
Yeah.
it was crazy. It was like the dream gig.
Were you like also able to do backstage access with the bands and you had like you basically had the world?
Yeah, I think I just knowing that they all had their personal guys, I wasn't like going into their dressing rooms at all. And like, but like, I definitely had the ability to, I just chose, I'd rather
let them
not be that dude. They had, you know what I mean? They have their person. I'm not trying to like step on anyone's toes. So it was a lot of show content and a lot, like I would do a lot of like backstage, like set up a green screen type thing. And they would come in and we would do like random stuff for TikTok, like GIFs, like Giphy stuff, like just like tour promotion stuff.
Right. Yeah. So then how long were you, how long was the tour? How long were you on it before you got hurt?
The tour was about a month and a half. I was out for probably about five weeks.
5
total.
weeks. Jesus Christ.
And then we were in Philly, and it was a stadium tour. So like massive stadium tour. And we were in Philly and I got injured August 20th. Shit sucked.
August 20th, 2021.
2021.
Yeah. So this is like at this point we're like a year.
A year and some change.
You just rack focus on your plaques. I know we want to show my mom again, but
Ooh.
let me see them plaques, baby.
Hold up. Camera's kind of, or I might be overheating.
Oh God, no.
Don't do this.
We can do it. Bear with us, people. I wish I had one of those, down. Do I have? I just have this.
There we go.
That's not
better,
it. That's just scary sounds. You good? Oh, there we go. We're good. Yeah. Okay. So you were saying it's 5 weeks in. This is at this point, it's been a year and some change since you got hurt.
since the accident. Yeah.
And have you, I know you've like mentioned it that you've gotten hurt, but have you really fully talked about this shit?
Maybe a little bit, like here and there, but I'm down to go into it. I can't really talk about the incident as much, just because there's like legally a bunch of shit going on, but I can talk about the accident
ended up happening. Yeah, I'm curious. So what was, just walk me through that night, like what was going on, or like how far was the show already over, what was going on, because I know a forklift was involved in this issue, right?
Yeah. So it was after the show. So we did Philadelphia, shot the show, I had edited everything, and then I was leaving the venue, and as I was leaving the venue, I essentially got crushed by a forklift in like a super unfortunate like freak accident.
Crushed by a forklift, bro. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. For people who don't understand, when shows just get over, production teams are basically taking the entire thing that is where the show happens. They're like shuffling that shit into semis so that it can go on to the next city. So there's forklifts moving all over the place. There's like gators. There's people. There's so many hands that are moving. Yeah. It's chaotic.
Madness. It's chaotic for sure. Usually it's like organized chaos where it's like, what's going on. But there was like a super I don't know if it was a freak accident or just like I can't really get into the details of what happened.
Sure.
But essentially I got crushed. The forklift crushed me into a wall. I ended up breaking every bone in my femur, on my right leg. I crushed both sides of my pelvis, totally crushed my right hip. I lacerated my femoral artery, almost bled out. I was rushed to the hospital. I was in ICU for probably two weeks.
Bro,
It was gnarly, dude. I had
jeez.
15 surgeries so far. Still have more to go. Vein grafts. My whole right femur's metal. My right hip's metal. 2 screws through my lower back.
Yo, you're Iron Man, bro.
It's
Holy
gnarly, dude.
shit.
It's really crazy to think about.
When it happened, were you like alert when it was going on? Like, do you remember what was going through your head?
Yeah, I remember. I thought I was gonna die straight up. I kept asking him. I remember. I remember all of it, and I remember. I can't again get into like
for sure.
super nitty gritty details, but I do remember like it being the most painful thing I've ever experienced in my entire life, than going to being like absolutely at peace with like everything, thinking that like I thought I was gonna die. The only thing I could think about was my family and my fiance. That was like all I could think about the whole time. I remember looking down at my leg, and not to get too graphic, but I was wearing like black jeans, and I just remember my leg, like the jeans like swelling up and then deflating, and then like when it deflated, it was like this thick, like mucusy type blood that came through, and just that recurs in my head
Bro,
over and over again.
God,
like the trauma of looking down and seeing my leg, like dude.
Just
I want to get into the detail. One day I will be able to. But like now it's like it's so it was fucked, dude. And just like the trauma from the hospital too. Like I don't know. I was in critical care for 2 weeks. I was on a breathing tube. I had metal sticking out of me. I had to lay in bed with open wounds because it was too swollen to close. Like it was crazy. It was a full thing, man. It was like a real like war level injury. And
I mean, it's so lucky to survive that shit, bro. Like, and I know when you first shared or people started sharing about it and just sending like good vibes to you, it's automatic. The whole creator community thrived around you, just trying to make you feel loved. You know what I mean? And
it was crazy.
Yeah, and it's like we don't know each other like that, but I just was like worried for you, bro. Like it's so crazy to see some shit like that happen, and you hear about these incidents that happen. You know what I mean? Like often it will come along and people get injured in certain ways, and it's like certain things. It's very. That's why there's people try to put protocols and try to find safety, but you just can't stop every bad thing from happening. But
exactly.
Good
for
Lord.
sure.
When you
man.
When you were going through like the hospital process and everything, obviously I'm assuming you kind of can recall all of that stuff. I'm assuming your family was able to, because you were not, and you stayed there, right? And
I had to stay in Philly. Yeah. So essentially I had so much swelling, so many like problems. The list it's crazy. The shit that happened to my body. Like the list of like, injuries like that happen together. Like you hear these injuries happen separately all the time, but for all of that to happen at one time, and to one have my leg, and to two still be alive, is like a miracle in itself,
dude.
The doctor actually has been passing around my like charts. They asked me before I left, they're like, can we show people this? And people are like studying like how they did this shit, because it's so gnarly, bro. But and I'm not trying to like, I don't know, it's weird talking about it because I know how traumatic it was, and I don't want to like hype it up or make it, you know what I mean?
And I just don't want you to feel like if you don't want to go there, don't feel like you gotta go there. It's so, I don't think people will ever understand. That's how crazy it is. The internet knows like you got hurt, right? And people see you and they're like so excited, and you're like, dude, a lot's been going on. I'm trying to get back there. But so many people don't understand the severity of it, bro. This literally is changing your life. It changes your fucking life. It changes your family's life, your fiance's life, your friends' lives, like your job. All these things change. And it's just so, it's so wild to hear how much had to happen. And also shout out to doctors and shit, because like how the hell do they know how to do this? You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. Like bizarre.
I think something that was like super inspiring for me was like, I don't know, you don't know how many people are watching your like what you're doing or supporting what you're doing. Like I don't know, like for an accident like that to happen and see the like discourse of all creatives coming together and like being like so many different people reached out to me that I've had like one conversation with, being like, yo, rooting for you, like to know that you have like an impact like that, like not just me, but like anyone like that gets injured like that. Like it's a weird thing to feel like you realize that like for so long I was like I have to do this thing, I have to be here, I have to, like, as far as work went or like life in general. And now, like, I don't mean to sound tacky or like cliche, but like now I get to be here, which is like such a weird mind shift. And so like when I get bummed about something, I'm like nowadays, the small shit doesn't bug me like it used to at all. Like it's like if anything good came from it, it's like there's a silver lining of me being like, take a second, slow down, and like smell the roses, because like this shit doesn't last forever. Like I mean, it'll like I got a second chance for sure. As crazy as that fucking sounds. But
so how long until you were in the hospital for what, 3 months? Is it 3-ish months?
Yeah, so I was in the hospital at Thomas Jefferson like trauma for 2 months, and then I went to a in-person rehab for 1 month where I had to like learn to like shower, walk, like take a step, not even walk.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did that for 3 months. Then I mean, luckily Green Day and Crush and everyone helped with getting me home because I couldn't fly commercial just because I had to lay flat. So they all pitched together to get like a plane for me to fly home in.
That's so cool.
So I had to fly home at like a lower altitude, and it was like a whole thing, bro. It was like out of a movie. All of it.
They had to fly you home at a lower altitude because of
because of my blood thinners and everything.
Wow.
Like they yeah, it was. I'm not sure the technical shit behind it, but
yeah.
I had to fly home.
And then
and also just because they wanted me to be like flat and like I couldn't sit or anything like that.
Did doctors have to fly with you then, like to transport?
No, they let me go home, but like I was back at the doctor's office like the next day once I landed in Portland.
Yeah. So did you stay at that hospital then, or were you like
no?
Back
luckily they let me go home. I had nurses come to my house though, like 3 times a week to check on me, do like that. I had like a PICC line, like a permanent IV in me that I had to like insert. My fiance had to be like my nurse and like give me IVs 3 times a day and like help me get ready. I had to sleep downstairs forever, but slowly but surely, dude, fucking physical therapy 3 times a week, doctor's appointments, surgeries, all that shit. Fucking a year later, back on the fucking road.
Back on the road, literally. Like,
yeah.
So then at what point did you start being able to like, because you can walk. Can you walk?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah,
like,
I can walk.
I know you had like a walker or something.
I got like it just hurts. So like if I walk too much, it's like a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And my leg swells up like crazy. But right now I'm still missing like a chunk of my femur. So they have to go in and do like I'm having this experimental surgery done, but right now all my weight's being put on my knee, like the screws on my knee. So it's still like painful to walk, but I can. On tour, I had like a scooter that I was on the whole time, which was fucking hilarious. Like a little knee scooter.
Just like mobbing around with your cameras.
Yeah, mobbing around. But,
the fact that you went back on tour, you like just to like, I mean, that's not that much time. A year is not that much time to like take time off technically, if you look at it from that standpoint. But to just be back on the road and get to just like attack it head on and shit is so commendable. But like, you're a savage, bro. You are a savage.
I mean, I remember being in the hospital in Philly, and the manager for Panic called me and he was like, we're going on the road next year and you're coming, like no matter what, you're coming. And I just remember, I as much as I didn't think that it was going to happen. I think that played in the back of my head the whole time.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, I was like, no, I'm going to fucking do it. Like, I'm like, whether it's shitty or whatever way I make it happen, like we're going to make it fucking work.
Yeah. You're giving yourself an end goal, you know what I mean? Like,
like,
towards.
And I think it was like very like in the back of my head. Like I didn't like think it was actually going to happen type thing.
Right.
And then like the time came and I was like, talk to my doctors, talk to my lawyer, like, and, yeah, we made it happen. We had a second shooter out who's great. His name's Zach Kassar. He crushed it. He was like, helped me like move around, get my gear on and off the bus, like second shot. And I couldn't go up the stairs. I couldn't like run around the venue. I was kind of like staying near the stage, like on the floor type stuff. And he helped out a bunch and we made it work, bro. I couldn't fly. So they would fly and I would take the long bus rides, but like, that's fine. I was just happy to be there.
Yeah,
like
dude.
So happy to be there.
Man, that's so cool. That's so cool. Like that's so dope to be able to get that opportunity and just to get the taste again. You know what I mean? Like to itch the scratch and to cross that thing literally off your goal list. It's got to be huge. Yeah,
that's what it was kind of like being like, all right, let's do it. Let's like beat the demon type of thing. You know, let's take back that thing that was like so scary.
Yeah,
all
man.
Of a sudden.
What was it for you? Like, as far as like the doctors kind of looking at your trajectory of like rehab or rehabilitation entirely, you said like a chunk of your femur is just casually missing right now. Like what the fuck? How much, because I think you said you had more surgeries coming. Obviously, is it to like continue to repair that and try to solve the problem? Will you eventually? Do they predict you'll be able to have like a percentage of your power back at some point with walking? What is like their roadmap for you?
Yeah, right now, so we did 2 surgeries for a bone graft. So they went into my left femur, took out a bunch of bone, tried to put it into my right femur to hopefully get that chunk to like fill, and it failed, unfortunately. And we tried that 2 different surgeries to make that happen. So now they want to do this experimental surgery. And again, I can't get super into it,
Sure.
but I can't be up for 3 months. So their trajectory right now, not to get into super details, but probably another like year till I'm able to like, be back. Cause this next surgery, I'm going to be off my feet for 3 to 4 months again, and then like have to regain like strength and all that madness again. So
chaos.
It's crazy, but bro, we're here.
We are here.
Fucking,
I know. And you got
here.
to shoot. Like that's the coolest shit of all time.
Yeah. Got to take some photos, be out doing what I love in music. Like I can't ask for much more.
What do you when you reflect on all this, you know, obviously you said like shit doesn't last forever. Like how does it change your mindset with the second pass of life that you got?
Yeah, I think just doing shit that like makes me happy is really important now. Before I was like trying to prove myself for so long to be like, this is like, I don't know, you get crazy imposter syndrome like in this industry. Like it's really weird. And I think now I'm just like confident with where I am and like who I've become kind of as far as like an artist and creative and just like person in general. I think like I want to do more like normal life shit, like have a family and stuff like that, which is like, I think people look down on that nowadays, but I'm like, no, that sounds great now. Like before I was like, no, I need to grind. And now I'm like, all right, take a step back and like, I don't know, just reevaluate everything. Again, like work wise, I think more involved on creative things where I'm not running around on a tour 24/7 is something that I'm going to have to like transition into because I just physically can't. So more like a creative direction, tour visuals. I don't know, just the next step I think I'm really excited for and figuring out what that is.
I feel like you would have naturally probably found that intriguing to like pivot to anyway. Like, you know what I mean? Especially once you're involved and you see the world and you understand like what you could contribute to build those worlds to make them like super appealing at shows and do all that. Like, I feel like you would have naturally, obviously it's just like shoving you into it, you know, quickly.
Yeah.
But it seems like a natural transition and way to like have your fingerprints on the road without having to be on the road in ways, you know?
Yeah, totally. Still like working in the industry without necessarily being there is, and I think it's totally doable. And I tried to like this past tour, try to really like network and meet the people that were like putting on the show to try to be like, yo, let me help out next time. Like, let me know like how I can get involved next time. Cause I can't tour forever anymore. Unfortunately, like it's just not physically like a thing that I'm going to be able to do, which is fine, but it's like navigating and figuring out what the next step is. And again, you're right. Like it's something I wanted to do. Like I think it was in the back of my head, but it was like, when can I pull that trigger to do it?
Yeah.
And like, again, the injury was kind of like a stop, reevaluate, let's figure this shit out. Like, what are you going to do next?
Man. Yo,
like,
if there's any way I can help you, like I know a lot of people like that. If you just want to pick people's brains,
yeah, man. That'd be awesome.
I'll you for sure. The fuck we can. And same with if there's things that you want the community to like, if there's anything that you want to try to have the community get behind you for, or support you with anything, like always, bro. Like let us know. Like we're always down to help you out with that shit. It's crazy when like I'm thankful for you to share what's happened, obviously, even if it's like a small nugget of it with all the real reality of it. No one will ever understand like what you went through, you know, like no one will fucking ever have a clue. And you're a soldier for being able to deal with that shit. It's crazy.
Thank you, dude. I really appreciate that. And yeah, you're right. It's like, it's something that like, there's not words that can really describe the experience. There's no words.
Yeah. Unreal. Unreal is like, it's just unreal. And I think for people, it may help put into perspective some of the shit you've been going through. Cause even me, like I knew you were hurt and I've seen you in cast and all this shit. And I'm like, damn, that looks brutal. Like what the fuck, did he break his leg in half or something? Like, literally smash your shit. But like,
smash
your shit. But to hear it and to know, because then you see you on the road and I'm like, oh, maybe it wasn't that bad. You know what I mean? Like you think like that. But I think like in totality, like understanding what you're going through is it's incredible that you've been able to climb to the top and to rebuild, and you're still working on it. And like
bro.
I know you got it, man. It sounds like you're in good hands. Dude. You got good people around you, and like keeping your energy high. Your energy is ridiculous. Like no one would ever know. No one ever know. Just looking at this shit, like take this camera, look at this face. Like no one would ever know what you've been through because you look so fucking happy and shit's crazy.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah,
I'm trying to find trying to find the silver lining in all of it. Like just trying to. It's like I don't know. Like you can get dealt a pile of shit, but you got to figure out how to get your way out of it. You know?
Yeah. No, so true.
Just day by day, and that's been my motto the whole time. Is like day by day. I've been doing weird shit. I've been journaling a lot.
Yeah.
I've been like hanging out with family a lot. I've been trying to like reevaluate everything. So I don't know. It's just it's good for me. Yeah, it's different.
And congrats on the engagement. And
Thank you, dude.
I'm excited for your future, bro. And you need to make a fucking some sort of storybook because you got stories for days. Like for real.
I appreciate that, man. One day we'll get there.
Dude,
sure.
Every time we wrap these, I always tell everyone that's listening, like if they got this far in the podcast, which they will, I make you pick a hashtag. So you're going to pick a hashtag. Okay. And so I'm telling everyone that's listening or watching, you have to go to his Instagram, whatever his last post is at the time you're listening to this, you're going to put this hashtag there. You're going to tag me at Ben Reverse World. So we both know that you listened to the entire podcast. I
love
episode. Because you're a real one if you did. All right. So
I love that.
You got whatever you got for me. You got to lay it down. And this is what they're going to put. And mind you, this will pop up for fucking years because I still get from 2016, I'm still getting hashtag. It's cool. It's so cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh my god. All right, let me think. Hold up.
You gotta come up with some gas.
I was gonna say black with no shams, but I don't know if that'll work.
People just start putting that hashtag on your fucking picture of like a dog or something. If you feel it, then we can stick with that one.
No. I want to get. Do hashtag can I call myself a photographer yet?
Ooh, I like that.
Right?
Yeah, let's stick with that. That one's hard.
I think
Can I call myself a photographer yet? The longest hashtag.
Longest hashtag of all time.
Probably pitched on this one yet so far. Yeah, dude.
That or got a blast. Which one?
What'd you say?
I have got a blast. This is like the two like terms I use on like merch and shit. Got a blast or can I call myself a photographer yet?
Can I call myself a photographer yet? Because that's gonna be funny.
Okay.
That'll be funny when those are popping up.
I like that. Yeah.
Right, yo, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for being willing to share this shit and sharing the come up to like you've been crushing it for years, and I love your work. I'm glad we got you.
Thank you so much. You too, dude. We got to do some shit for sure.
No, we will.
Like,
I'm coming up to Portland. Intro. I'll come up there and fucking kick it with you.
Yeah,
I want to ride your little wheelchair thing.
I'll go show you all the nature.
Dude, seriously.
The mountains, yeah.
And I also have some friends. I would love to connect you with some friends too that are out there that are photographers. This is so sidebar,
cool.
But they're Iowa homies they just do wedding photography shit, and their stuff is ridiculous.
Perfect.
But I think they're good people. So. All right, man.
Sure.
I appreciate you, dude. Thank you so much.
Dude, thank you for letting me come on here and trauma dump for a fucking hour and a half.
Anytime. All right, dude. Later.
Yeah.
Yo, it's Ben. I just wanted to say thank you for listening to today's episode. We have plenty of episodes that have come out in the past, and we're dropping new ones every single Sunday for season 2. So make sure to subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're listening to or watching on. And if you haven't joined Black Window Cream community, what you doing? It's the best community for creators on the planet Earth. Go to bwnc.com/join. We would love to see you in there. Please join. All right. See you next week.